Millie, please make a dozen of these movies. They are wonderful, and I never want to stop watching them.
Well, you fans of them? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, hold on a second. I've got some money around here somewhere.
At last, I would be a detective in my own right, worthy of the Holmes name.
Dare I ask?
There's a satisfying feeling in any detective story, but specifically in these, when all the clues snap together and it's a bit of a relief and you feel a little cathartic because we're starting to solve the puzzle, essentially. I'm curious if there's an acting equivalent of that feeling.
Yeah. It last night, I was at the premiere and watching the audience watch it. That is very cathartic in many ways. Oh, gosh, just when younger kids come up to me and ask me to say lines or, say that they love Enola, it makes me so happy and so proud. And that's the moment that I thought, oh, really, I've done something good here.
I love your backdrop because I want to ask you about 221B, which is an iconic location, and the set design in particular in this movie is so wonderful. I'm wondering about how being on that set in particular might have influenced your performance.
It was such a wonderful set and so rich in detail and things which, the audience may never see because the angles never covered it, but there was detail and character everywhere. It's an extraordinary place filled with all sorts of contraptions and devices and things you'd find in a museum. And just shooting on that set, I hardly ever left. Even right. In between, we had half an hour, 45-minute, an hour setups. The chairs were so comfortable. I felt comfortable in that space that as long as I wasn't in the way of the crew trying to do their job, I would just relax there and soak it all up. And I would find something new to toy around and play with every day.
One of the things that I love the most about these movies is how things that we are shown earlier end up becoming really important later. Can you talk about that process of making sure you get the coverage that you need so that those clues can land with the impact?
No, that's absolutely right. I've always been slightly inspired by Antonioni's Blow Up. If you remember that killing idea that you can look at a picture and then you go back and a detail was there which you weren't aware of. Sent me a chill down my spine. I'd never forgotten that experience of that. There's a little bit of that inspiration for me. Yes, planting and paying off, whether it was something that you didn't think you saw but was always there, or a very specific plant, like, yes, the man on the gantry as she walks up to the backstage, and then we see that we needed to see him in order to the point that when we get to the gantry at the end, it doesn't feel like a contrivance. Everything seems like it feels a natural journey.
What was something specifically that you wanted to advance or evolve in Enola this time out?
I wanted to indulge a bit more in her career, her path. I really wanted to focus on her being a detective this time, and we could actually kind of get into the nitty-gritty of the case, which I think is really important as well. So we got to do it this time.
I started a detective agency.
Oh, well, but you're a girl. Tell me.
Yes.
Might your brother be free?
I think that's one of the joys of going on a journey with a budding detective, because they're not always ahead of it. They're like us, picking up information and we don't quite know what's going to be significant. Yeah, the red matches in the foreman's office. There's so many.
Enola Holmes.
She's a detective. Looks like she'd blow over in the wind.
And to that end, do you find yourself observing people and trying to make deductions now that you've played the part?
I can calculate someone really quickly, which it could also come across as judgmental, but I like to read people's body language, and I'm quite observant, and I think it's just I grew up around adults my whole life, so for me I'm just really observant on all the details.
What was your approach to playing drunk?
I don't think I've done it on screen before then, and if I have, it was many moons ago, but it was, I sometimes do. I sometimes pretend I do like a drunk voice when I'm making a joke, if I'm telling a story or something. But it was really just about throwing it out there and seeing what happens, and trying to gauge the audience, which is immediately the crew and the director and Millie, and it seemed to go well. People seemed to be laughing and enjoying it, and not laughing at me, rather than they were laughing with me. And so I just thought, okay, we'll keep on rolling with this and see if the audience likes it. I guess time will tell.
I liked it very much. It was very funny.
Oh, thanks.
When you are breaking the fourth wall, is there someone specific that you think you are talking to?
My mum.
Your mom?
Perhaps I should explain.
Yes, and actually, it's funny, no one ever has asked me that question, so you are a first. Yeah, I always think about my mum. I always think about talking to my mum, and then kind of the way I said, and that is a job well done. I do talk to my mum like I'm lecturing her half the time, and usually she's lecturing me as well. So I usually I think of my mummy.
Mother believed privacy was the highest virtue and the one most frequently violated.
The biggest challenge of the film actually was creating the structure of the story. It took us a long time. It was quite a piece of Jenga, really.
I can imagine, because you had Sherlock's bit to build up so it could overlap as well, too.
Yeah, you had a more complex and mysterious emotional plot with Enola, and then you've got a missing girl, which is simple and emotional, and you can get it.
My sister. She disappeared a week ago.
And then there's Sherlock's puzzle that's completely impenetrable, which then has to somehow link up. That was a sort of mental.
Well,
Why are you here? Is it my case or your own?
Both. It seems our cases are connected.
I have to slip in one quick Superman question. I need to know what it meant to you to have John Williams' theme song playing behind you or accompanying you in the Black Adam cameo.
John Williams' theme song is obviously incredibly important to the character. It's something which resonates with the character, and every time I think anyone in the world hears that, anyone in the world, I think a large portion of the world who hears that will recognize it immediately as Superman and feel a certain way about it. And I do think it's wonderful. But at the same time, equally so, I think Hans Zimmer's Man of Steel score was just as wonderful. I have incredibly powerful feelings about that, because I remember watching the trailer, the first teasers come out, and I was sitting down with my friend and we were both so excited about it, and the way the score plays, and both are incredibly powerful in their own way, and both are just as iconic for the character. And it was just such a pleasure to be back in the suit, whether it be John Williams or whether it be Hans Zimmer. They're both extraordinary artists.
There's also a unique energy to these films. Is it something that comes together like in the edit?
No, it is alive. I mean, on the day, it's a very alive set. There's lots of talking, there's lots of English people, there's lots of banter. All together, I mean, it contributes to the levity and the life of the film.
Terrific rug pull. I really enjoyed it.
Did you see it coming?
No, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Yep.
That's very satisfying, because you must be quite hard to dupe, a man of your awareness. So I'm very excited, very pleased to hear that.
You can't control Enola Holmes. She's a force of nature. You.